All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have some great news to share with all of you. In the second half of the anniversary, we're coming out with a new permanent event. And while the name over here, Dreaming Deep Solaris Film Festival, does seem like it's more of like a web event or like a content creator or like a community event than it is an in-game one, it's actually a branch off. It's an adjustment to the Illusive realm. Don't worry, I got confused as well when news of this first got released. You can see from the rewards over here, there's quite a bit they have in store. And so what I wanted to do today was actually walk through what this new permanent event is looking like, how those rewards are going to be gotten, and of course, all of the new and somewhat familiar gameplay elements they're going to be having in this bad boy. So with that, let's go ahead, let's get right on into it and see what we've got going on over here. So, first things first. Astrite of 600, which is always nice. 2 Phantom Crownless skins, one for the Nightmare version and one for the regular version. 10 modifiers, 200 tuners, which is really nice, and some other materials. And so, this is also going to be a permanent event, much like how we have events here on the tab that are all permanent as well. You can always go back and access all of the gameplay in these modes, and as long as you do the time-limited stuff that's going to be there for the event, you can always do the permanent achievements afterwards, like how I'm doing for the fishing event, where I'm still able to complete all of these other tasks because I kind of like went ahead and I rushed all the time limited stuff first. So a lot of flexibility over there with how that setup is going to happen. So yeah, there's going to be limited time and standard rewards. We just went over how this all works. So make sure you get all the limited time stuff done before the time limit is over for the event. So with that, dreaming deep, beneath the iceberg of thought's deepest layers, all dreams are interconnected. And so this might give you a clue for how this is related to the Illusive realm, how this is related to the Somnoir, and actually some of the prior permanent events that we've had before. But we'll be talking about how those dreams are linked together later on. If you played 1.4, you'll get that pun. If you didn't, you're gonna be wondering why I did that pause there. Anyways, let's keep going. So, the duration is gonna be from the 22nd of May, or when the second half of the patch drops, all the way to August 1st. So we got plenty of time to do that. It's gonna be all the way past 2.3 and actually into 2.4 when this event is gonna be over for the time-limited rewards. So don't worry about that. We already covered the main rewards. That's what it's looking like over there. And so, we're gonna encounter a variety of events during this film festival. We're going to use these film rolls to explore stories and then reach different endings. So this is basically how you're going to unlock all the different stories. The Somnoir is pulsing with mysterious power, and all resonators upon entering will be stripped of their echoes. Oh no. But in their place, you're going to have Resonator Enhancement, Bonds, and Metaphors. And so you won't actually need to have any gear going on into this. You know, if you do have like a new unit or you have somebody that maybe just doesn't have high investment, you'll still be able to have all the fun you want in this game mode. All of your characters will start off the game mode naked. So, let's keep going. You're going to explore a bunch of different team builds and combinations for some diverse combat experiences. And then the screenplays are available in the current version, with each featuring one or more endings. And because it's a permanent event that's going to get more and more updates as time goes on, more will be available in future versions. So it's a permanent event with time-limited rewards, and it's also going to be expanded on in future updates. So we might actually see something going on in version 2.4 as well. Very, very, very nice. And so, when you go ahead and you want to start exploring, you're going to get a bit of like a tile mini-map that your rover character is going to be using. After choosing a film, you can explore its world freely, and there are various events, and then you're going to go ahead, complete all of these, get all those rewards, metaphors, etc., bonds that are going to add units to your party and strengthen your units. So that'll be like the explorative part that you'll be able to access over here, and that'll get you to the ending. You're going to have resources like those film rolls that we just talked about over here, and that's what you're going to use to fuel the exploration. And so film rolls are going to be consumed by battle events, random events, and story events, and if you're defeated in battle, you can actually use film rolls, that resource that you use to pick stuff up, to actually restore your resonators to what they were before the battle. So like all their HP, energy, that sort of stuff. The number of film rolls you have determines the buffs you gain, and the more film rolls you have, the more powerful your buffs are going to be. And so naturally, your goal, if you want to get as strong as possible, is to just like not die as often as you might do in other forms of content, because you're going to be consuming these, right, to revive your party. So just, you know, play better and you'll get stronger. Sounds good to me. Next up, you got Resonator Recruitment, and boy, oh boy, is this a nice looking system? So you're going to complete battle events to obtain dream fragments. This is a currency that you might be familiar with if you played any of the Elusive Realms, if you played any of the prior dream events, anything like that. And even the weekly Elusive Realm mode that we have. They can be used to recruit Resonators, and the recruited Resonators will accompany you into the film's world. And in Dreaming Deep, the trial Resonators include the featured trial Resonators and then the permanent trial ones. And so the featured trial ones will change periodically. And so that means they're going to go ahead, they're going to start like rotating around all the different units that are going to be available. And you can recruit any of the available trial Resonators in the recruitment shop during the challenge. So that'll be a great way for people to try out all the different units. I imagine during the anniversary, these are some of the units that'll be like shuffling in. And when new character releases come out, like in version 2.4, like with Lupa and Cartithia, I imagine that they'll be in the rotation too. So you'll get an opportunity to actually experience what potentially every new unit plays like in the future, with all those buffs, with all those adjustments, for free. And that's something that a lot of people are excited for. Because when you think about it, I don't think anyone's used Brant in the Elusive Realm. God forbid, I don't think a lot of people have even used Carlotta in the Elusive Realm with like an adjusted kit, right? What if her new liberation is like, for every single shot, she fires like, I don't know, 10 rifles instead of like 4 of them. And then Brant drops like 3 anchors instead of 1. So there's definitely a lot of potential when they adjust these kits, right? To add different bonuses, to add new effects. That's going to be for every new unit that's coming in, and you're going to have all those trials as well. Very, very, very cool. Next, we're going to have team leveling. So you're going to complete various events to increase your team level. Your team level decides the levels of your Resonators and the levels of your weapons and skills. And then increasing the team level is going to make it easier. So yeah, naturally, the more of these you get, the stronger your characters are going to be. Makes sense. Next up, you're going to have bonds. Bonds are going to be formed between Resonators, and they're going to grant various buffs. And you can see over here, boy, oh boy, is that a lot of stuff available. So naturally, I think this is going to give a ton of replayability for every single run that you have, because if this is just like, maybe, I'm pretty sure there are more bonds than this. That's a lot of different levels. That's a lot of different options that you can choose, and that should give you a unique experience every single time you end up going into one of these modes. So yeah, a lot of potential for infinite content. Do keep in mind that this is permanent, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they add more and more of these bonds in the future that synergize with different Resonators kits. And yeah, you can see over here, just like reading this example of Ordinary Commuter, when in Synergy Burst, Resonators gain extra wage every 1 second. An additional stack of allowance is placed on all targets. These are completely new status effects that we've never heard about. And so that's just another dynamic that's going to be in this game mode as well, right? Like they're talking about like literally like money and like some sort of like currency in like the damage that's being dealt over here, right? Damage dealt by wage and reimbursement is amplified by 200%. So that's just a short preview of all the crazy shit that's going to be in this game mode. And lastly, or close to lastly, we're going to have Synergy Burst. And boy, oh boy, if you're familiar, and this is why I made that Dream Link joke in the past, if you're familiar with the Somnium Labyrinth, which was the main event in version 1.4, this is basically just Dream Link again. And that was a system where you would basically have AI-controlled teammates that would start attacking, start doing their movesets, and gain a bonus when you would meet certain conditions. And it looks like they've brought it back, and now it's going to be available for the entire 2.0 roster. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot to be excited about, because this was super cool. This was extremely fun. So you're going to choose 1 main Resonator and 2 Concerto companions to participate in combat. And if the bond level meets the requirements and 3 Resonators with the same bond are in the team, their Synergy Burst will be triggered. And so you're going to have to make sure that you meet the minimum levels over here, and you're going to need characters that all fit a certain type of bond. And so when I'm reading like Ordinary Commuter and I'm seeing all this like wage and allowance, I imagine that this is like the Montelli family one or the Raguna one, because, you know, that's kind of like what they're all about, like money, ownership, all that sort of stuff. So maybe that's like why they're showing that example prior, because this is the sort of dynamic that you'll need to have to make it actually activate. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice that they're adding in like all these like team combos that you're supposed to have, because let's be honest here, you're probably never going to use this team in actual gameplay. Yeah, Zani, ironically enough, has absolutely no fucking synergy with Carlotta or Cantarella. So now, we got Resonator Enhancement, and this is the part that's probably the most familiar to people if they played older versions of the Illusive realm. When recruiting Resonators, you can power them up by giving them special abilities based on their regular abilities. And so what you're seeing over here is a big adjustment, right? Big buffs or just a complete rewiring of how the ability works for pretty much every single character that's going to be in the game mode. And that was the stuff I was talking about before, right? Where maybe Carlotta summons additional rifles during her liberation, or Brant drops like additional anchors. Hopefully, that's the sort of uniqueness that we'll be seeing over here, and that'll add, again, even more replayability. The only hope that I do have for this part is that they have more upgrades that aren't like obvious options, because there were like certain upgrades that were just straight up like a million times better than the other ones that were available, and you would just kind of pick those every single time, or you would functionally just be like griefing by choosing basically anything else. There was like one upgrade for Gian where just simply doing like a resonance skill cast would let you use your resonance liberation, and it would also reduce your resonance skill cooldown, and so you would just pick that every single time. Otherwise, you would just do like half the damage of like every other upgrade over here. So maybe they've like strengthened some of the other ones, potentially even weakened the others, just to make them all seem, you know, a bit more viable to choose rather than just like last second options when you have nothing left. Another way to upgrade the characters that we're going to have is, of course, your metaphors. And boy, oh boy, these are kind of like the main way to buff up and improve your characters. If you're familiar with the weekly Illusive Realm mode, you're going to recognize a lot of these. They'll do things like just give you like flat bonuses to attack. They'll just go ahead and upgrade your basic attack or heavy attack, or your attack speed, all those different stats. And this to me just seems like something that's been very, very consistent across every version of, every roguelike mode the game has had. And I'm pretty sure that they won't fall short on keeping these upgrades exciting in the future. Yeah, it's like Fantasies of Thousand Gateways. When I think about it, if you started in version 2.0, Fantasies of Thousand Gateways is actually the only time you would have seen metaphors, because I don't think we've had the Illusive Realm across versions 2.0, 2.1, or 2.2. And so this kind of just seems like an all-encapsulating sort of thing that's meant to take in every single roguelike mode we've had since version 1.0 of the game, and kind of just wrap it all into like one neat little bow and keep it as a permanent game mode. So this kind of seems like the landing spot for all these different systems, and I think it's pretty clear that Kuro has worked a lot on this, because there's a reason why we haven't had the Illusive Realm across versions 2, 2.1, or 2.2, and now it's coming in the second half of 2.3, kind of like as a a culmination of all the different things that we've had. And it's pretty clear where all that is coming from, right? Lastly, we're going to have Film Theory, which is going to be, and this is from the baseline Illusive Realm that we've had in version 1.0, this is just going to be the upgrade system that you're going to have. It looks like the tree has been streamlined significantly, and these will just be like different buffs that you'll be able to accumulate that'll make all your future runs of the game mode more powerful or easier to do, or just give you more resources like dream fragments, let you get more metaphors, that sort of stuff. And you can see this is just a short example of one of the buffs that you'll be able to get. Reduce resonance skill cooldown by 30%. This one is probably like you can refresh your shop one time, or you can refresh your shop for free, that sort of stuff. And so yeah, you'll earn Observer's Dice, which I assume this is the currency over here, from Explore the Solaris Film Festival. Use them in Film Theory to activate special bonuses that empower your Resonators. So yeah, and that's just another short example of what Synergy Burst looks like, and you can see, right, you're getting ability casts by all the other units that are on the team. You got the Verena and the Encore. They're going ahead and they're doing stuff off field. Yeah, it looks like they're doing their off-field attacks. I don't actually know if I'm seeing the Verena or the Encore units actually doing anything, but I can definitely see their abilities. Right, we got like a Cosmos over here. We got some plants going on. And so maybe they're looking to like limit the clutter of having 3 units simultaneously attacking on the team. But their skill effects are still going to actually happen. Though I'm not sure why they decided to use this lineup. Why didn't they just show us the Carlotta Zani one? I'm a little bit disappointed. Yeah, they should have just showed us the Carlotta, Zani, and Catarella one. But yeah, that's going to be that for this game mode. I've got to say, again, it looks like this is like a big culmination of all the different systems that we've had across the game since launch, all the way to even like the newer things, like Fantasies 1000 Gateways and 2.0. And I'm very, very, very excited for the replayability, the longevity, and of course, the initial update, and every single other update that the game is going to have moving forward. Because this whole system that we have going on over here, where there are only a few initial screenplays at launch, but then they're going to be more available in the future. And they're also going to go ahead and where the feature trial units will change periodically. I feel like this is something that's going to become like a mainstay. And my only hope to keep up this longevity is that this becomes some form of like weekly reward system that incentivizes players to play it at least like once a week, or like whenever it gets updated, whenever that update occurs, just so that people can see all the new stuff that's going on with that in the future. Maybe a way that they'll be able to spice it up is by putting in the Unborn Echoes system from Fantasies 1000 Gateways into the game mode as well. And the Unborn Echo system is actually a way for you to be able to farm new sets in the game before they've come out, because these get retroactively updated to include new Sonata sets or new Tacit Fields or Sonata sets. For example, the Midnight Veil and Gusts of Welkin set was not in here in version 2.1 when it released, but it got retroactively updated to include them once 2.2 released. And so if 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 3.0, whatever, have new Sonata sets, hopefully those will be included in here as well. So yeah, that's going to be that. Hopefully this overview, this breakdown was helpful. I think that there's a lot to look forward to. And of course, we're going to have that red crownless skin that people saw in the original like CBT versions of the game. The red crownless skin is going to be back. And, that's going to look pretty damn good on Camellia. So with that, let me know what you all think. I'm very excited for it, and peace out.